Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a major event in the war between Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine has reportedly achieved a major victory by destroying a key land bridge that connected Russian forces and their occupied territories. This move is being described as one of the most significant developments in recent months. It is not just a symbolic victory, but a strategic one that could reshape the balance of power in the region. The land bridge that Ukraine destroyed was essential for Russia's supply lines. It allowed the transportation of troops, weapons, fuel, and other resources from Russia's mainland to its forces stationed in occupied areas. By cutting this link, Ukraine has not only disrupted Russian logistics, but also shown its growing capability to strike deep into enemy territory. This operation has proven that Ukraine can now reach and destroy critical infrastructure that Russia relies on for its war effort. Military experts believe that this strike was carefully planned and executed. It required precise intelligence, advanced reconnaissance, and modern technology, including drones and long-range missiles. Reports suggest that the operation targeted specific sections of the bridge that were difficult for Russia to defend. Once the structure was hit, it caused a chain reaction of damage that made repair nearly impossible in the short term. Ukraine's forces have been developing these tactics for months, focusing on weakening Russia's logistics rather than engaging in costly large-scale assaults. This move has had immediate consequences on the battlefield. Russian forces now face severe supply shortages in certain areas. Without the land bridge, delivering ammunition, food, and reinforcements has become much harder. The logistical strain means that Russian troops might have to retreat from some positions or risk being cut off completely. For Ukraine, this presents a rare opportunity to launch further counterattacks or strengthen their defensive lines where Russia is now vulnerable. The psychological effect of this destruction is also enormous. For Russia, losing such a key route undermines the image of stability and control that its leadership has tried to project. It shows that even deep inside what Russia considers safe zones, its military infrastructure is not immune to Ukrainian attacks. For Ukrainian soldiers and civilians, this is a moment of pride and motivation. It sends a clear message that persistence and strategy can bring real victories, even against a larger opponent. The destruction of the land bridge also has international implications. Ukraine's allies, especially in Europe and North America, view this as proof that their support is making a difference. The weapons, training, and intelligence assistance provided by Western nations have helped Ukraine to carry out sophisticated operations like this one. As a result, this success could strengthen the argument for continued and possibly increased military aid. On the other hand, it may push Russia to intensify its retaliation through airstrikes or missile attacks on Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. Analysts point out that this victory is not just about the bridge itself. It represents a shift in how Ukraine is fighting this war. Instead of focusing only on the front lines, Ukraine is now targeting the deeper logistical systems that sustain the Russian war machine. This kind of warfare can exhaust the enemy over time. It's similar to strategies seen in past conflicts, where cutting supply lines eventually forced more powerful armies to retreat. Ukraine is using intelligence, precision, and patience to make every strike count. For the Russian side, the destruction of the land bridge poses a serious challenge. Rebuilding such a structure is not easy, especially under constant threat of new attacks. Engineers might attempt to create temporary crossings using pontoons or ferries, but these solutions are slow and vulnerable. Every attempt to rebuild could be met with new Ukrainian strikes. turning reconstruction efforts into a costly and dangerous task. In the meantime, supply convoys will have to take longer routes, increasing fuel use and delivery times, which further weakens the Russian military position. This event also exposes some of Russia's weaknesses. Despite its large military and resources, its logistics network is fragile and overly dependent on a few key routes. By focusing on those weak points, Ukraine is forcing Russia to spread its defenses thin. This tactic can lead to frustration and mistakes among Russian commanders, who must now protect not only the front, but also every road, bridge, and railway behind it. It is a kind of warfare that drains resources and morale at the same time. Another important aspect is the potential political impact inside Russia. News of such a loss is difficult to hide from the public, especially in the digital age where images and videos spread quickly. The Russian government will likely try to minimize or deny the scale of the damage, but ordinary citizens and soldiers' families will still feel the consequences. The longer the supply crisis continues, the harder it becomes for Moscow to convince its people that everything is under control. For Ukraine, the timing of this success is also crucial. As the war enters another winter season, logistics become even more important. Roads and fields turn muddy or frozen, making movement difficult. If Russia's supply lines remain broken, its ability to sustain operations during harsh weather will be severely reduced. Ukraine, on the other hand, can use this momentum to stabilize its own positions, repair infrastructure, and prepare for future offensives in spring. Some military observers have described this operation as a turning point. It might not end the war, but it changes its dynamics. The destruction of the land bridge proves that Ukraine can take the fight to strategic depths and inflict real damage on Russia's ability to wage war. It also forces Russia to divert attention and resources away from other fronts, potentially easing pressure on Ukrainian defenses elsewhere. Of course, there are risks. Every major victory comes with the possibility of retaliation. Russia might respond with increased air raids, targeting Ukrainian power grids, railways, and civilian areas. It might also intensify cyber attacks or disinformation campaigns. Ukraine must therefore balance celebration with caution. The goal is not just to strike, but to sustain the advantage gained from the strike. That means continuing to disrupt enemy logistics while protecting its own. Looking at history, similar operations have often marked decisive shifts in wars. When armies lose their main supply routes, they eventually struggle to maintain large-scale operations. If Ukraine continues to target such choke points, it could gradually paralyze Russia's military efficiency. This is how smaller or less equipped forces can defeat larger ones, not by head-on battles, but by making the enemy's system collapse from within. The morale of the Ukrainian population remains a major factor. Each successful operation reinforces national unity and determination. Citizens see that their sacrifices are not in vain, and that their army is capable of standing up to one of the world's most powerful militaries. The destruction of the land bridge is therefore more than a military event. It is a story of resilience and strategy that defines Ukraine's fight for sovereignty. Meanwhile, international reactions have been mixed. Some nations praise Ukraine's skill and courage, while others worry about escalation if the attacks continue deeper into Russian territory. Yet, from Ukraine's perspective, striking enemy infrastructure that directly supports the invasion is a legitimate act of defense. This argument resonates with many of its supporters who believe that victory requires boldness. As the situation unfolds, we can expect Russia to adapt. It might attempt to reinforce other supply corridors or move more resources through maritime routes, though those come with their own vulnerabilities. Ukraine, for its part, will likely continue to use intelligence and precision technology to stay ahead. The use of drones, both reconnaissance and combat types, will remain central to these operations. Every success adds to Ukraine's experience and confidence in modern warfare. In summary, the destruction of the land bridge is a remarkable achievement for Ukraine. It strikes at the heart of Russian logistics, reshapes the operational landscape, and sends a clear message that no route is safe for the occupiers. It demonstrates that strategy, innovation, and persistence can outweigh sheer numbers. While the war is far from over, this victory marks a defining moment in Ukraine's campaign to reclaim its territory and independence. The coming weeks will show how each side responds. Will Russia rebuild or retreat? Will Ukraine press its advantage or consolidate its gains? Whatever happens next, this operation will be studied for years as an example of how modern warfare depends not only on firepower, but on the control of supply and movement. Ukraine's ability to strike and disrupt shows the power of intelligence-driven warfare in the 21st century. Thank you for staying until the end of this analysis. The situation remains fluid, but what's clear is that Ukraine has scored a significant victory both strategically and symbolically. It has proven that determination and innovation can make the impossible possible. Stay tuned for more updates as we continue to follow how this bold move reshapes the war and the future of the region.